Good morning. The time is 9:30. This is the 20th day of July. We are in the Nevada State Business Center in the Nevada Room Suite 400, and this is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Taxi Cab Authority Board for the state of Nevada. I will call us to order. The record should reflect that present are board members Soderberg and Decker. I believe we have board member Rodriguez on by telephone, and board member Thompson is excused today. Mr. Soderberg, would you lead us in the pledge?
Gladly. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Secretary, has this meeting been posted and noticed in accordance with the Nevada Open Meeting Law?
Yes, it has.
Thank you. The second item of business today is public comment. This is time set pursuant to statute for the board to receive comment of any member of the public who wishes to address us on matters within our jurisdiction. We may take no action on such matters, and we would ask that any member of the public limit their time to 3 minutes. Is there any member of the public who would wish to address the board? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Agenda item 3 is set for industry discussion. This matter is a regularly considered item of the board to receive comment, suggestion, and observations by members of the industry. Is there any member of the industry that would like to bring anything to our attention today? George.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Good, thank you. I thought I would just share.
Please state your name.
I'm sorry, George Balaban with Desert Cab Company and Virgin Valley Taxi.
Thank you.
We track a lot of numbers internally to see how our business is doing relative to the industry as well as other businesses. And I wanted to bring to you guys' attention, although the statistics probably show this as well, that so in the second quarter of 2022, the industry did probably about 13% more trips than it did in 2021, which is good. Airport volume, though, during that same time was up about 20%. So again, that kind of makes sense. The thing that's dramatic, though, is that if you look at the TNC numbers, which the easy numbers to get are the airport pickup and drop off because the McCarran reports those. Unlike there's not an NTA website to go at to see the TNC monthly trips. But the TNCs, let me back up. In the second quarter of this year, the taxi cabs, we picked up 190,000 more passengers than we did in the second quarter of 21, which is nice. It's a 33% increase in our pickups. However, the TNCs from the second quarter of 22 to 21 picked up 405,000 more riders than they did last year, which is a 72% increase in their volume. Their drop-off volume, we don't track ours, but theirs went up by 500,000, which was a 78% increase. So it appears that while there's more people coming to town, which is good for the entire town and for the industry, it appears that because other than anecdotally from my cab drivers telling me that they see more TNCs out there, especially on the weekends, these numbers kind of show that the TNCs have come back pretty strong this summer. So, for example, this month, just tracking the first 19 days, my trips per shift for the shifts that we put out, while I'm putting out probably 10 to 15% more shifts than I put out last year in July. Last year in July, we were doing 24 and a half, almost 25 trips per shift. This is Desert Cab, not the industry. This year, right now, well, again, I'm putting out more shifts. We're down to doing 19 and a half trips per shift. So we're doing about 20% less trips per shift, even though there's more trips out there and the industry's doing more, but because I have more shifts out. The industry has more shifts out. So I just wanted to bring it up that while all the numbers look good as far as visitor volume coming in, taxi trips going up, none of it is going up like the TNC stuff is going up. And that is, hopefully that levels off, but right now it's going up dramatically. And again, I don't know if it's just that many more people are coming back into the industry. I'm not sure what it is. And these are, of course, are the reported numbers. This has nothing to do with the illegal operators that are out there, any of that. But so I just wanted to bring that to the board's attention that while I think the industry numbers are healthy, we're losing market share now as there's just more and more competition as the TNCs are coming back. So that's it.
Questions?
One question. So that's good news, and thank you. That's a great report.
Good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad, right? So you have more shifts, so you have more drivers, basically.
So yes, for sure we have more drivers. I would say I have the drivers that I had pre-COVID.
Okay.
They aren't probably working as many hours a week. They work probably a little bit less per day, but very small. They were working probably 10 and a half hours. Maybe they're working between 10 and 10 and a half. So that has what the change has been. The change has been in the number of days that they work. Last summer, it was really bad. It was because it was so busy. Guys that used to work 5 days a week were working 3 days a week because that's all they needed to work. Now it's, 4 and a half, 5 1 week, 4 the next week. So the number of actual days of drivers working has gone down a little bit. And again, I think that has to do with, I think a whole bunch of people during COVID determined that life's more important than just work, I guess, maybe. And so they have budgets, and if they can make it in a shorter amount of time, they just don't want to work as much. Flexibility, all different kinds of reasons. So I have the bodies back. They're just not working as much as they were before. Cab drivers historically used to work, 48, 50, 60 hours a week. That I don't have a lot of that anymore.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Belden, I have one question for you. You've told us that essentially you're losing market share from last year. So you've got more capacity now, but there's less, you say 19 point something rides per shift out there. Do you have, I'd say, an educated guess or some data to tell us why that is?
I would say it's that TNC numbers. It is the number of, so it's the availability, right? I still believe that TNC pricing, especially on the strip, is better than our pricing. I still believe they're operating at a loss because they basically subsidize those rides, the cheap rides. So, a lot of customers are going to look at the price. A lot of customers that were Uber and Lyft customers pre-pandemic went away from Uber and Lyft and were coming to us because there wasn't that availability. Now that availability has come back out there, and they're going back to because they have it on their phone. So I think that they're taking back that market share that they had in 2019 that we were able to get while they were off the road. So now I think it's moving back. Some by price, some just pure numbers, just the availability. If there's just that many cars out there, it's just, someone's going to walk out and probably doesn't care what it's going to cost. It's just how long is the cab line versus how long is the availability. So I don't think there's a lot with taxi lines waiting. I mean, at the airport or any of those things right now. So I think probably it's more just the availability of the TNCs. That if the TNC volume on the road is small, they can surge and do some things. But when there's more and more of them, their price comes down and down and down, and that people that are price shopping are going to jump onto those. So,
understand. Thank you.
Any other member of the industry like to address this? Great. Thank you for that. On to agenda item 4 is staff reports. Administrator Armstrong.
My turn. one of the things that with bittersweet feelings I have at this particular point, our chief investigator, Ruben Aquino, has submitted his resignation effective July 28th of 2022. We will miss him, and we are in the process of finding someone to replace him at this particular point. He couldn't be at this meeting because of a family emergency, but he wishes everyone well, and he says he enjoys working along with you as well as working with the Tax City Capital Authority. As to numbers, what are the
Move off
numbers?
of that.
Huh?
Before you move off of that, just please relay to the chief investigator the appreciation of the board for his many years of service, and we will likewise miss working with him, but hopefully he's got his 30 years in. Enjoy. So.
And sorry, can I jump, Mr. Armstrong?
Sure.
One question.
Yes, you may.
I don't want to get into any confidential personnel matters, but was there any thought to reclassifying that position to be an unclassified position prior to filling it, or are you moving forward?
We are going to create an unclassified position at this particular point. That position was the only classified chief investigator in the state of Nevada. So since we're the last dinosaur, what we're going to do is we're going to do like everyone else is doing and make that an unclassified position.
Copy, thank you.
I'm not sure that was within, my perception is that was a foregone conclusion because we were a complete outlier everywhere else.
I suppose my question was more related to, is that able to be done administratively now
Oh,
prior
yes,
to be
yes.
filled, or does it have to go through the 2023 legislature?
I would say that we are exploring a number of options
Okay,
as
gotcha.
to what we're going to do with that. If it means a legislative change, we'll do that. If it means I can go to IFC and get it done, we'll do that. There are a number of options that we have at this particular point. This was not something that we had on the books in terms of it happening right away. So to a certain extent, now we're going to make those choices from this point of view.
Understood.
One of the things that I wanted to talk about, this material is not within your statistical materials, but they will be from this point forward in terms of number of trips that were done in the month of June as related to last year, as a matter of fact, and the year-to-year requirements relative to the that's the slide. There's a slide behind you that specifically states the number of program monthly trips. It compared 22 and 21. At this particular point, we're showing in the month of June of 2022, we're showing a 3.28% decrease in the number of rides that were given year to year in terms of that. That equates to about 38,000 less rides this month at the same time last year. There could be a number of reasons for that in terms of that. The weird thing about it, there's another slide that also deals with revenue. Okay. We still had an increase in revenue in terms of all the companies year to year of 7.83% in terms of the industry average in terms of so it's kind of weird that we had less trips, but we had more income coming. Yes.
I was going
And
to
it-
ask if that
Yeah,
was
maybe
indicative
fuel
of fuel.
surcharges also, maybe also credit card fees. It's not the credit card fees? Okay. So that's an outlier that I wanted to talk about. We at this particular point have 3,530 medallions that are active at this particular point. We do not have a number as to the number of actual medallions that are on the road at this particular point. That is something that we're going to look into, and we'll give that report to you at a later board meeting. We also have had, from year to year, we've had more new driver applications in the month of June 2022 as opposed to June of 2021. We had 24 new applications processed in June of 2021 versus 39 applications that were done in terms of June of 2022. We have a total of 3,820 active drivers in the system at this particular point as of June 2022. We also have year to year, we have higher revenue totals in terms of year to year, in terms of the cab companies as an aggregate in terms of what we have at this particular point. So we are on track to doing better. I am somewhat concerned about the information Mr. Bellaman stated earlier in terms of the TNC and the TNC resurgence at this particular point. I think that that's something that requires some study and some possible actions that we may have to take relative to that situation, because I was hoping that we were more even in terms of that situation. But Mr. Bellaman has sounded the alarm. There's a possibility that may not be true, so there may be actions that we need to take in order to make our cabs more competitive.
On that point, can I-
Yes, sure.
maybe I'm misinterpreting the statistics, but it seems to me, while there may be more TNCs,
Right.
they're, as Mr. Bellaman pointed out, they're probably doing a lot of loss leader kind of, in other words, there may be not a lot of profit in what they're doing, if any.
I guess the question
And I don't know
is,
how long that can.
yeah, how long is that sustainable in terms of what we're talking about? I knew they were doing that at the time before they became public. But at this particular point, I would believe that the people that are financing them at this particular point in terms of being public companies, that they're going to have to account for that, and you only can do so many losses up to a certain point without going bankrupt. So I don't know about that. I also don't know at this particular point exactly where those rides are happening. Are they happening in the triangle, or are they happening in the neighborhoods? That's something that I don't know, and that's something that I want to inquire about.
And we're still at the $2 on the surcharge, right?
Actually, we have gone to tier 3 at this point.
We have, okay.
We have gone to tier 3, and we're still looking at the numbers. I don't know whether it's going to be, because the numbers are coming down, there's a question as to whether we may drop back down to tier 2. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but I will know for sure on July 25th, which is the end of the 14-day period.
So I just want to clarify, Administrator, just generally for our audience, statistics showed a ride decrease of approximately 3% over 2021 and a revenue increase of 7% over 21 in 22 that George says is probably attributed to the fuel surcharge. However, I want to also point out that is not necessarily an increase in profit, because what we were not showing is the increase in expenditures due to fuel. So I don't, in case there's any reporters in the room or anybody listening, that's without backing out the increase in expenses. That number doesn't necessarily mean that there is a profit.
It's just a revenue number. It doesn't
Right.
tell us
That's
whether
Right.
it's a profit.
Exactly. But so
We
because
might be, the cabs might be operating also
at a loss. Correct.
Good point. Sorry for the interruption.
No, no problem. That was a good interruption as a matter of fact. In terms of investigations and things of that nature, we are still strongly dealing with unauthorized use in terms of that, and we're still finding we're ahead of last year. We're about half of what the last year total was. It's over half of last year's total was in terms of the number of impounds that we've done up to this point. We've done 55 impounds to date through June of 2022. We're planning on possibly doing more, but I have to balance that with the patrol functions of our officers, and that's something that we're working toward, trying to get a balance on that to deal with both the UPTs as well as safety. We also are planning in action in Laughlin, Nevada, another area that is part of our jurisdiction, because we want to make sure that all jurisdictions understand that we are available. And I think that's, I want to do one other thing. Daryl Stocker, where? That was Daryl Stokely in the back there. He's under MA2. He's dealing with our audit function. He will be in charge of our audit function, and that will get rolling again once he gets through some numbers and things of that nature that I've provided him at this point.
Could I, if you
Yes.
can tell me it's too much labor, but As for the monthly reports,
Yes.
one thing I think would be helpful, at least to me, is if we could have, in addition to the column for the month, a year-to-date column
Yes.
and what was the previous year total.
Right. What we're going to do is there's a set of numbers that are specifically on the website.
Correct.
And I'm changing that from now on. Those materials will now be part of your reporting
Okay.
every month.
Just so we're
Yes, so you need to have that.
looking
information.
monthly at the
Yes,
trend.
I think that you need to have that information in order to make good decisions.
Great. Any questions on the report?
I do, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sure.
Carl, we have 3,530 taxi cab medallions.
That's correct. That's correct.
And we have less vehicles on the road. It's something less than that, but right now you don't know how much that is.
That is true.
So you don't know the percentage, if it's 75, if it's 60, if it's 90, we don't know.
I do not know. The only way in which we can find that information out is to actually go to the companies and actually look physically at the trip sheets in order to figure out what that is in
Okay.
terms of like how many trips per cab in order to know how many active medallions are actually being used by any particular company. That is something that I have tasked audit to start doing to see, to get that data for us so that we know better what that data is.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, we have a hearing
Yes.
for a new certificate next month.
Correct.
And by calendar, it sits before we have our next meeting. That data would be very important for that hearing. To get it the day after the hearing might be useful overall, but it's not, it's something I'd like to know going into that hearing. And I don't know if it's possible to get that done
I
a
can,
month minus 2 days
I
from
can-
today.
I can have
And
that.
if you could
I can have-
either
I
make
can-
that at that hearing or circulate that among the parties and the board. So we walk into that hearing knowing what that number is.
What I can do is I can retask my staff and do whatever overtime necessary in order to get that done. So that'll be a priority in terms of us getting you that information at least sometime before that meeting, so you have that information.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Or to be clear, sometime during that hearing, so it can be taken into evidence.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
Yeah.
we'll have that information.
Yeah. That would be helpful. Good point. I thought that's where you might be going. Any other questions? None?
Thank you.
Mr. Rickert, do you have anything we should know? Good.
Good morning.
Well, maybe that we're permitted to know.
There was a question in our line work. Good morning, David Rickard, Administrative Attorney for the agency. Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I have nothing to report, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And, sorry, yes, Dag Bahela on. Is there anything from the Attorney General's office that we need to be aware of?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is nothing for me or the Office of the Attorney General.
Thank you very much. On future agenda items, is there anything members of the board would like placed? To Member Soderberg's point, reminder for everybody that in August we will commence our monthly hearings on Monday the 15th at 9 a.m. The first 2 days are set for the independent cab contested case, and then we'll have our regularly scheduled meeting on that Wednesday at 9:30. So August will be a little bit different than this month. Anything else on agenda item 4? Hearing none, then we will go to agenda item 5, which is our second public comment. Agenda item set pursuant to Nevada statute. It's a time set aside for any members of the public who may wish to present something to the board within its jurisdiction. No action may be taken. We'd like to thank you in advance for limiting your comments to 3 minutes if possible. Is there any member of the public who would wish to address us? Seeing none, and I'm assuming there's no member of the public online that's asking to. And that will bring us to agenda item 6, adjournment. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I'll second the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So adjourned. Thank you very much.
So